Hi folks, Wooden Boat Dan here. Just wanted to give you a heads up. The podcast you're about to listen to was recorded several years ago, so some of the phone numbers, email addresses, website links, and time-sensitive information are no longer valid. Please keep that in mind as you listen. If you'd like to contact me, my email address is woodenboatdan@gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Welcome to Hooked on Wooden Boats, weekly podcast episode number 144. This is Dan Matz, and I'm your host today, and this is the world's first podcast fully dedicated to celebrating the art, craft, history, tradition, and romance of wooden vessels around the world. Thanks for joining me today, folks. Great to have you on board the good ship Hooked on Wooden Boats. Hope you're having a great week. Maybe you're getting out on the water, building a boat, thinking about building a boat. Well, it's time to fully immerse yourself and get with the program, folks, because wooden boats are a blast. What does that exactly mean, wooden boats are a blast? Well, in my opinion, some of the cool things about wooden boats is, number one, you can build them yourself without a great degree of difficulty, depending on what you're building. Secondly, wooden boats have a long and rich history, going back hundreds and thousands of years, and that's pretty cool. And you can repair a wooden boat, and they're aesthetically pleasing, and they're made out of trees, a natural resource. So get with the program, folks. Okay, so much for that rant. Today's featured segment is an interview with Scott Rohrer. Scott has been involved with the R-Boat Pirate for quite a few years. Pirate is a boat that was built in the early, now I'm going to get this wrong here, but I'm going to say mid-1900s approximately, but you'll find out more on the interview. She is an R-boat that was a descendant of a famous R-boat called the Sir Tom, which was designed by Ted Geary, who was a Seattle boat designer, very prolific designer. And the R-Boat Pirate is moored at the Center for Wooden Boats in Seattle. So I got to sit down with Scott this summer and talk to him about that boat and her pedigree and some of the cool things and history and stuff. Very, very cool stuff. So stick around for that if you would. Okay, we have some new subscribers to the electronic newsletter this week. Joel Smith, Kathy Williams, and Derek Blale. Thanks for joining. If you would like to receive the newsletter, which I send out sporadically throughout the year, I used to promise monthly, but it doesn't always happen monthly, but usually at least bi-monthly. You can go to hookedonwoodenboats.com/subscribe. Give me your name, email address, and you will begin receiving the newsletter once I publish the next one. Which reminds me, I probably have one due now, and I need to work on that. So, anyway, if you are interested in building a wooden boat and you don't have much experience doing that or no experience and you're not sure where to start, I've got an ebook for sale for $4.99 on my website that kind of walks you through the process of deciding what to build, figuring out how long it might take to build it, how much it might cost, things like that, give you some options and resources. And if you go to my homepage, you can order that book there, or there's also a Kindle version on Amazon. It's called Get in the Wooden Boat Game, a guide for building your first boat. I also have on my website some resources from Russell Brown on using epoxy that are very excellent, so check that out when you get a chance. Well, I didn't work on my scamp this week. Life has gotten busy again, but I will keep you posted on my progress there as soon as I get rolling. Looking forward to getting into that project here pretty soon. Okay, we're going to move on to the interview with Scott Rohrer and talk about the R-Boat Pirate. So take it away, Scott. Okay, it's July 4th, 2014. I am at the Center for Wooden Boats with Scott Rohrer. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
It's a beautiful day here, the 38th Annual Lake Union Wooden Boat Festival. And we are sitting on a very special vessel called the Pirate, which is an R boat, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But Scott, let's talk first about you. Give me a little profile of yourself. I understand you're a fourth generation Seattleite, but tell me about your growing up days and your boating and stuff.
I grew up on the east side of town and did my first sailing out of the Leschi Marina.
Which is on Lake Washington.
Yeah, Corinthian Yacht Club Junior.
What was the first boat you sailed?
Penguin.
Penguin. So tell us what a penguin is for those who don't know.
It's a Phil Rhodes 11-foot long sailing dinghy. Very popular on the East Coast, but also on this coast in Seattle and San Diego.
Mm-hmm. Was that a plywood boat?
Yep.
Uh-huh. Did you ever build one of those, Scott?
No.
Okay. So you started sailing on penguins on Lake Washington.
Yeah.
And so were your parents sailors also?
Well, my father was in that at our summer house on Vashon, he bought me another penguin. So I had two boats to practice in, which helped a lot.
Okay.
If you're going to race boats, time in the boat is everything.
Yeah.
And whether we were at the summer house or over in Denny Blaine, I could get to a penguin and get time in the boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you race those with two people?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Kill this.
You got your cell phone on there?
Sorry.
That's all right. We'll pause here for just a second. Okay, we're back here, and Scott, we were talking about your early sailing days on penguins. How old were you when you started that?
I think I was 9.
9 years old. Wow. Wow. And how many years did you race those boats?
I raced them up until, I think, 66. I was born in 46. So, yeah, I raced them a long time.
Yeah. So how successful were you at racing?
I won the district championships when I was 15 years old.
Wow. Very cool. Now, were the races held in different locations, or were they all at...
That was at Leschi.
That was all at Leschi.
But the intercollegiate was done at Leschi and at UW and at Lake Whatcom up in Bellingham and in Vancouver when we raced UBC.
Okay. So, did you sail any other boats during that time, Scott, or was it all penguins?
Pretty much all penguins.
Yeah.
Well, I also had started sailing on 6 meters before I left to go to college.
Oh, okay.
And there was a great fleet of old 6 meters at Leschi. Some of them champions.
Well, now a 6 meter boat is around 30 feet in length, is it? Or
no, it's a formula.
Okay, right, yeah.
They're like little 12 meters. They're between 35 and 40 feet.
35 to 40 feet, yeah. Okay.
Roughly the same length as an R boat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what did you do after high school, Scott?
I went to Western Washington State College in Bellingham.
Did you? What did you study?
English literature.
Okay. Did you go on to use that degree or to teach, or?
I still write regularly.
Oh, do you?
On yachting history.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell me about your...
I write for the Seattle Yacht Club Binnacle. I'm on their historical committee, and I write small pieces about Seattle Yacht Club history.
I see. Okay. And what other boats have you sailed over the years?
Oh man, everything.
Too many to list? Or let's talk about boats that you've owned, not counting Pirate. No?
I always sailed other people's boats.
Okay, you crewed on boats or sailed other people's boats.
Skippered boats for other people.
I see.
Here and in Europe.
Oh, really? Okay. Give me an example of some of the boats you were on, Scott.
Well, I sailed with Roy Disney on his first three Pyewackets. The first was a Nelson Merrick 68. The second was a Santa Cruz 70. And the third was a Reichel Pugh 76.
Wow.
Those were on this coast and in Europe.
Really? Were those sloops?
Yes.
I see. Very
High
good.
performance ultralight sloops.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I was selling sails to Europe for North Sails. I got a second in the 1-ton cup in 1980. And then same year I did well in the 6 meters at the Regatta Royale at Cannes.
Okay. Wow. Which is Australia? Is that in Australia? Cannes?
No, Cannes.
Oh, okay.
On the Côte d'Azur.
Oh, okay.
Cannes.
Oh. I don't even know where that is, but sounds like it's a long ways away.
Yeah. The Big Deli.
Okay. Well, let's move on and talk about pirate. So first tell us, what is an R-class sloop?
Well, they're one of the smaller sloops under the Universal Rule, which was a measurement rule sort of like the rule that they measure 6 meters and 12 meters by. The smallest class was the S class, and those are about 32 feet long. The R's go from about 36 all the way up to 43. There's a 43-foot R-boat replica that a guy built that lives here on the lake.
Wow.
A Charles Mower design, a really good designer.
So it's a racing class boat. Yeah.
For inshore racing.
For inshore racing. What year did they come up with the R-boat concept, you know?
Well, it was right after the turn of the century.
Oh, really?
The first R-boats in Seattle were 1917.
Okay. So tell us about Pirate, her history and pedigree and so on. Give us all the gory details,
Well,
Scott.
the boat that dominated from 1917 on was a Ted Geary design called Sir Tom. And Pirate's another Ted Geary design based on Sir Tom. Sir Tom was a gaffer, but they turned her into a Marconi rig and she just kept winning. And Pirate was patterned after her.
I see.
Built here at Lake Union Dry Dock for California owners. Don and Tommy Lee in Los Angeles. Pioneer broadcasters down there.
I see.
Radio KHJ Los Angeles. And Don Lee Cadillac LaSalle on 6th and Bixel. In the 30s, they had all of these depression-proof industries down there, entertainment, communication, oil and energy. And he probably bought more bare chassis from General Motors than any other dealer in the country. Harley Earl got his start working for Don Lee, the guy that designed the Buicks and all that for Body by Fisher.
Really? Wow.
I've always said that if you really get into studying the history of a vessel like this, really get into it with the personalities involved and the history, it gives you this great snapshot of the technological, the social, and the financial aspects of a time and a place. And Pirate does that in spades.
Yeah. So Ted Geary designed her, and she was purchased new by a family in Los Angeles.
Father and son.
Father and son. And as I understand the story, the father had promised the boat to the son if he won
the Starboat West Coast Championships. And he did that in Victoria, BC, with a boat called Satellite. And the first thing they noticed was Sir Tom just killing the R-boats. And they went over and got Ted Geary and said, come on over, do an R-boat for my kid. He says, I'll do more than that. I'll sail your schooner Invader to Hawaii next year. And they won. Ted Geary was a really good designer, but he was a hell of a sailor, too.
Really?
This guy had it all.
Wow.
Product of Seattle Public Schools. And the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Oh, really? He studied at MIT.
He was a brainiac.
Wow. Yeah. So give us some of the design specs of Pirate. Some of the her length and beam.
She's 39 on deck. She's 8.5 foot beam, which actually makes her the beamiest R-boat ever built. There was a historian at Los Angeles Yacht Club that made a spreadsheet of all the R-boats ever built. One of them he sorted by beam, and there's pirate right on top.
Really interesting.
Yeah. So she gets good form stability that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've sailed her to Victoria across the Strait to Juan de Fuca twice.
Oh, really?
She's kind of low freeboard. It was a little wet, but she's a good sailor.
Yeah. So she was designed for inshore sailing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
racing inside the breakwater at LA Harbor, but they'd also race outside. So
she's a Marconi rig.
That's right.
How many square feet of sail?
Over 600.
Really? Yeah.
The mast is 5 foot taller than a 6 meter, and the boom, where a 6 meter of this vintage would have a 16 or 17 foot boom.
Yeah.
We've got a 21 foot boom.
Wow.
It's a huge mainsail. It's the proportions of a starboat rig.
Really?
Dates sort of from the same period.
So she's fixed keel with a lot of lead under her?
That's right.
How much lead?
Probably 8,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how much water does she draw?
5.5 feet.
5.5 feet.
She's not super deep.
Yeah, interesting. So tell us about the construction, species of wood and method and all that.
Oh, she's happy to. She's double planked.
Oh.
And the inside planking is 5/16 red cedar, and the outside planking is 5/8 Burma teak.
Wow.
So she's got the same specific gravity as Honduras mahogany, which is the weight of planking set forth in the rule.
Oh, I see.
So he got a super durable hull. Part of why it was worth restoring, because the two species are really rot resistant.
So he combined two species to meet the rule, got a more durable hull, but the same weight rig. Wow.
As if it were mahogany.
Really?
He really worked the rule.
Oh, man.
He was clever.
So what are the ribs in?
She's framed with, we don't say rib, we say frame on the West Coast.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
One F word snuck in.
Yeah. What are the frames?
They're white oak.
Okay. White oak.
Green oak that we got, kept wet. We had to reframe the boat because a lot of her frames were sawed. Every third frame was doubled up, and they sawed them.
Okay.
And a lot of those failed.
Oh.
And she was black iron fastened, so we had rust problems. So gradually we went through and just cut all the frames, cut every third one, pulled it out, replaced that with a steam bent. Took out every third one again, replaced that with a steam bent. Had it chained like a maniac on a steel cradle so it didn't change shape. Cross bracing in it that notched onto the outside of the hull to secure it. We were lucky in that the designer's daughter sent us the original construction plan, not a print, the actual ink on linen drawing of the boat. So we could get...
Ted Geary's daughter?
Yeah. She lives in Malibu, and she supported us mightily on this project.
Wow. And you did the restoration starting in 2000 something, or?
I think we started in late 99. We ordered up our teak anyway and got it into the shop and stickered and air drying so we'd have stable teak to work with.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
She was in rough shape when we got her.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You can still see some of the rust that we have to fight, and we do that on a case-by-case basis, but it's fixable.
Yeah. So after Tommy Lee owned her, tell me about her subsequent owners and what she did.
Oh, Tommy Lee sold it to a guy named Roger Marchetti, who was Bing Crosby's attorney. And he got a guy named Matt Walsh to skipper the boat. And they went to San Francisco, and they had a breakdown up there and didn't do well. So Marchetti lost his stomach for it and they sold it to a fellow named O.K. Hunsaker. And O.K. Hunsaker was the guy that put up the money to send her to New York. They put her on a ship, the SS Texan, in L.A. Harbor, shipped her via Panama all the way to Nevins Yard at City Island, New York, and got her ready for the national championship at Larchmont, New York.
Wow.
At the time, Yachting Magazine said it was the first time a West Coast designed and built racer had ever competed on the Eastern Seaboard.
How did she do?
She won.
She beat some famous boats, I hear. Or famous design boats.
She beat designs by Nathaniel Herreshoff, L. Francis Herreshoff, John Alden, who designed more R boats than anybody, Charles Mower, George Owen, a great instructor from MIT,
Of course you can.
and Starling Burgess. All the biggies.
Really? Wow. Then where did she go from there?
Back to L.A.
Back to L.A. Okay.
Yeah.
Same owners had her there? Or?
I think Hunsaker didn't do well when the stock market crashed.
Mm-hmm.
I think the stock market crash happened probably while she was on the ship headed back to L.A. And he sold her pretty quick after that to Arthur Stewart of Union Oil Company.
Oh.
He had the money.
Okay.
He actually kitted it out with a full cruising interior and an engine. They don't race with engines. He made it into a cruising boat.
Really?
We found remnants of the engine installation when we got it.
Wow. So she's been converted back to a full sailing. Like the original
She's been measured under the rule, and we have a rating certificate. She rates 20, which is the limit for the class, under the universal rule.
So do our boats still race, Scott?
There are three others here. The Ace, well, she's in San Diego, but up in Canada, there's the Lady Van and the Aloha, and we've raced all of them.
Okay. When did you become involved with Pirate then, and how did you find out about her?
When Dick Wagner called me and said, this guy wants to sell us an R boat, but we don't have the money to buy it. I came down, I did the research. I talked to a guy named Tom Scahill in Southern California who wrote the biography of Ted Geary for Wooden Boat Magazine, and he said, sure enough, that boat did all that stuff. He said, it's got the story. Go for it.
Wow. So you put together a group of buyers? Is that what you did, Scott?
A syndicate. Everybody put in $1,000, and I made my original cap in about 6 months.
Wow. So you bought her for 20 grand?
Bought it for 12.
For 12, okay.
I got him down.
Okay. 12,000. What year was that?
1999.
99, okay.
Trucked her up here. Put it in the water. It was sort of a pity. She had busted frames all up around the mast. We'd sail her a little bit, but water would just gush in because the frames would stretch open and would open up the seams and water would just flow in.
Oh, really?
If we had people on board that wanted to give us money, we'd put a radio on and just crank the volume up so you couldn't hear the water cascading over the floor timbers.
Oh, my goodness.
It had an aluminum mast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was too short. That's Sir Tom's mast that we have now.
Oh, is it really?
The last mast that was in the Sir Tom.
Wow.
Norm Blanchard confirmed that for us.
So where is Sir Tom still around?
They cut her up in the early 60s.
Oh, really?
Right.
Wow. So then you guys did a major restoration of her over a several-year period, or?
Yeah, we rechristened in 2005.
Mm-hmm. And then what kind of duty does she see these days, Scott?
Promotional for the Center for Wooden Boats.
Mm-hmm.
We make all the wooden boat festivals we can, and we get as many people out sailing on the boat that can crew on the boat safely and understand what it is and appreciate all the great things that this boat can do.
Yeah. So does she get out in Puget Sound some?
Every time we go to Port Townsend.
Okay. Yeah. How often do you go over there? For the festival? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And if we can, we go to Victoria first and then come back and go to Port and stop at Port Townsend on the way back.
Yeah, I see.
In 2011, we went to Victoria and won the auxiliary sloops class up there.
Oh, really?
In the racing they have there.
Cool.
Well, and we finished 7 minutes behind the first schooner, and he started 10 minutes ahead of us.
Oh, really?
Big old schooner, the Barlovento.
Wow. So will she be over there this year, Scott?
We got to repaint the boat before I show it anymore. She's too rough.
Yeah.
In the 2 years I was gone, it just lay here against the dock. It wasn't good for it.
Yeah.
But that's part of the nice thing about having teak topsides. They're hard as a rock. And all the work we put into fairing it and getting it smooth and shaped right, that's permanent.
Oh, great. Just do a little bit of sanding and some fresh paint. She's good to go, huh? Very cool.
New gold leaf.
Well, she's a beautiful boat, Scott.
She's drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah. And fast on top of it.
She's a federal landmark.
Oh, is she really? We're looking at a placard here on the boat that this vessel has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places by the United States Department of the Interior in 2000. Very cool. What a amazing history, and especially for Seattle with Ted Geary designing her and everything. That's pretty cool.
Well, she's also on the historic, what do they call it? HAER. Historic Architect and Engineering Record, where you write up a historic object. I think she might be the only race boat on the HAER.
Oh, really?
But that, and the thing about this historic register, it has to be restored to the standards of the Secretary of the Interior, which means putting it exactly back as it was, the same woods, the same thicknesses.
Really? Wow. But all that work was done here at the Center for Wooden Boats?
No, we did it at a shop over in Ballard.
Oh, really?
A good friend of ours.
Who's that?
Brad Rice.
Oh, I know Brad.
Yeah. He helped us with the reframing.
Oh,
quite
did
a
he?
bit. And planking the garboards.
Okay.
The skill stuff.
Yeah. How wide is the planking on this boat? Or does it vary?
Well, in the middle, it's probably 4 inches, and it tapers out at the hood ends to maybe 2 inches.
I see. Wow, so that's a lot of spiling, huh?
Yeah, I had to do new hood ends at the transom corners.
Really?
It's a delicate little corner there, and it had just been beaten up too many times.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get back to that cute little transom with the sharp corners, so I did that myself. Those had to be twisted and hollowed.
Really?
I had to cook those to get them to go on and clamp them like crazy. But I got them on without splitting them.
Cool.
Thank you. Hi.
Very cool. Well, Scott, I appreciate you being on the podcast today. Anything else you'd like to add about Pirate or anything?
How are you feeling?
Not particularly.
Okay.
Save these old boats.
Oh, really?
And save local boats before you save boats from the East Coast. Everybody's got Beetle Cats and Hairshaft 12.5s. But a really good local design by someone like Geary or Lee Coolidge,
But he's so close.
those are the boats that we want to save for our history.
Yeah,
Tell our stories.
definitely. And if people want to see this boat, she's moored here at the Center for Wooden Boats in Seattle pretty much year-round, right?
Yes.
Very cool. Okay, well, thanks for your time today, Scott. We'll be talking to you later.
My pleasure.
Okay,
Thanks
you.
for coming by.
All right.
Glad to have you aboard.
All right. Scott, thanks for taking the time to do the interview about the Pirate boat. your passion about this boat is very obvious. It's very cool that you've really studied and know her history. She's got a great pedigree, so thanks for being on the program. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up for today. However, before we do that, you can connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube if you would like. You can look for me as Wooden Boat Dan. And on YouTube, I've got a few videos, a few how-to videos about doing epoxy fillets and things like that. Might be helpful to you. And you can also shoot me an email. woodenboatdan@gmail.com is my email address. You can leave comments on the blog. I'd love to hear from you. Send pictures. Let me know what projects you're working on. It's always fun to hear what people are doing. Well, thanks for tuning in today, folks. I appreciate it. If you would like to help support the podcast and you make purchases from Amazon, if you go through my link, I get paid a small commission when you make the purchase. And that link is hookedonwoodenboats.com/Amazon. Well, keep the bright side up and the barnacled side down. Have a great week. We'll talk again next week. God bless. Over and out, Wooden Boat Dan.